Listen to my lies. Love is far to come. Your love is far. Running at the speed of light, kissing at her city lights. Calls me in this morning till my day just goes on. Running at the speed of light, kissing at her city lights. Calls me in this morning till my day just goes on. Gotta get up again. I'm gonna get up to another day. I'm not giving up again. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna get
Hello, hello, 𝙂𝙚𝙣𝙚𝙧𝙖𝙩. I am still recovering from the cold. I forgot to do one thing. There we go. There it is. Sorry, my brain is a little slow. How's everyone been? I can't talk much because well, obviously I'm still a bit sick. Yeah, may notice I changed the way I name my streams. Mostly because I got some advice from a friend I know who also streams, and yeah, the way, so hopefully they gave me advice, so hopefully the way I will now be naming my streams will hopefully uh hopefully get us more recommended by all the algorithms. There you go. What is going on with every time, every fucking time. There we go. There we go. Yeah, I can't talk much. Uh, Most because yesterday, obviously I had to cancel stream because I was coughing so much and I was coughing so harshly that I had to make a quick run to Walmart to get cough medicine, cough drops, and I was coughing all the way there, and luckily and a little bit of the way back, but it was enough to uh actually uh basically all the coughing just shot my vocal cords. All right, and let me get the actual file. I went open. Windows does this. All right, there we go. Alrighty. I'm still like it. As you see, I still retain a little bit of it. It's just more simplified. YouTube is gonna remain the same because that's pretty much how it's always been for YouTube. Well, it's gonna be a little bit of a different format, but yeah. Right. I was in the middle. Oh yeah, I was in the middle watching Food Theory.
Tackling multiple sensory pathways at once. Sweet, warm, spicy, numbing, which makes the flavor feel like you just can't get enough of it. And comforts you, even if you've never touched a pumpkin pie in your life. And here's the thing, most of what we call pumpkin spice in products isn't those spices at all. It's synthetic flavor compounds. Pumpkin spice essence cooked up in labs that can be mass-produced for pennies and added to anything from yogurt to vodka. And I'm horrified to say that that's not even a joke. But it explains the explosion of pumpkin spice products. You don't need real cinnamon sticks or freshly ground nutmeg. You just need a bottle of shelf-stable flavoring that tastes close enough.
Alright, I got the idea.
From a corporate perspective, it's a slam dunk. It's cheap, and the second you slap pumpkin spice on your label, customers know exactly what you're promising. And let's face it, it's a cheat code to get people to buy your product. But the question is, why is it everywhere in so many products? Well, from a purely flavor perspective, it's because the warm spices play well with, well, pretty much everything. Even though individually and in excess, each one of of the components can be overwhelming and downright disgusting, in the pumpkin spice proportions, they meld with things that are sweet or savory. And the spice mix in and of itself is very well balanced too, so long as whatever you're mixing it with doesn't also have a super strong flavor. That's why yogurt, pasta, butter, and friggin' Special K all work well PSL-ified. We all know just how bland and flavorless regular Special K is. Pumpkin spice elevates it to a new level of flavor. So if it really comes down to the flavor, is it time for me to pop my pumpkin and finally try my very first PSL? Yep. Hi! My life is a mess right now. My place looks like this because I just moved, and I don't know where my tripod is. I don't know where my actual camera is, so we're on my gimbal and my phone, and this is gonna have to be food theory for the foreseeable future. By the way, go Canes, we won yesterday. So, it's time. I've interviewed people. I have tried to figure out why the PSL is so friggin' popular, and nobody could give me a satisfactory answer. Some people were like, oh, it is the nostalgia. Some people were like, oh no, it is the flavor. And some people were like, it's both, which is utterly useless. So today, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna try it for myself. Let's go. But while I'm at it, I just had to ask the barista at my local Starbucks why they think pumpkin spice is everywhere. That's where you'd hear the audio of the answer they gave. If we had any. Technical difficulties, what can I say? Our barista friend suggested that the real answer is simply that it's only around for a limited time. This is the answer I was honestly hoping wouldn't be the one. When I started researching for this episode, there was one common thread that kept popping up: the seasonality of the flavor. Reason I wasn't too keen on this being the answer is because it means we are suckers, basically. Pumpkin spice anything is only around for a few months out of the year. Starbucks and anyone that sells their version of their product pumpkin spice makes sure to keep it that way. It creates artificial scarcity. Artificial scarcity is when a company will purposefully
I hate that.
whatever they're selling, even if demand is high, in order to create a sense of urgency, a sense of FOMO. It makes me cringe, but the fear of missing out really is strong enough. So these companies make us feel like we're gonna miss out and have to wait a whole other year to drink it. So when it is around, we scramble to buy up every last pumpkin spice product we can. It's a similar concept to limited time items you see at places like McDonald's, except instead of just the McRib coming back willy-nilly, Starbucks and these other food manufacturers have made sure to tie their food and drinks to the season. In a way, it is the power of nostalgia, but one that Starbucks has artificially implanted in us over the years. The PSL doesn't make you nostalgic for Thanksgiving or pumpkin pie, though. Starbucks has just assured over the years that the PSL makes us nostalgic for the PSL. Then our own brains betray us because we start to associate this drink with the fall. Summer heat starts to cool down, the leaves start to change to those gorgeous colors if you're anywhere other than Miami, and the holidays are right around the corner. Classical conditioning. Russian physiologist Ivan Pavlov showed this phenomenon with his dogs. He'd ring a bell for his dogs every time their food was ready. Over time, they started to associate the ringing of the bell with food, and even if there wasn't any food, the bell would still make them salivate and think it's time for them to eat. Same thing here. When fall starts to rear its cool head, we start salivating, figuratively, and literally in some cases, for that pumpkin spice. And when we start seeing it everywhere, we know that it's fall again. It's a vicious cycle. Darn you, Pavlov! And now it's my turn. Right,
Darn your psychology.
I finally did it. I finally got my very first grande pumpkin spice latte. It's time to try it and see what the hype is about. Oh my god. I get it. The fall gods have shown me the way. I have to say, in all seriousness, it does have a very nice spice. I think the cinnamon, a little bit of the nutmeg really comes through. There's a little bit of bitterness even at the very back of the mouth. It's a very complex flavor. It doesn't punch you in the face with a lot of sweetness. It doesn't punch you in the face with any sort of thing. It's a very smooth experience. And I have to say, while I don't necessarily get the nostalgia factor, I understand how this might make you want to cozy up by the fireplace and, you know, enjoy a little time. This is not the coffee that you have to like burn through an all-nighter because you need to like work hard and study. I really think I get that this is just a relaxing drink. It is getting your caffeine kick in a relaxing way that you can just enjoy and sip and slow things down. It really encourages you almost to slow down the drinking experience And I have to say, I'm a big fan. I might actually start getting these more often. So why is pumpkin spice everywhere? Because it's a perfect storm. In America, nostalgia made it iconic. Globally, the chemistry makes it universally appealing. But more than anything, as much as it sucks to admit, we are suckers for good old-fashioned marketing. Starbucks dangles that pumpkin right in front of us for just a few months a year and yanks it away just when we've had enough time to settle into our jammies with our lattes and cozy up by the fire. And then we're left waiting and waiting until the next time it comes around. And through classical conditioning, we have started associating this delicious drink with all the things going right in our lives just as the fall season starts up. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Salud. Hey, have you ever wondered why matcha is everywhere?
Ooh.
Make sure to click the link on the screen now. And as always, I'll see you next week.
All right.
A flavor, but can be really
All right. There.
Hi,
Now.
welcome to another episode.
There we go. And I crack.
Episode of Cold Fusion. Since 2023, the fast food chain Taco Bell introduced artificial intelligence at over 500 locations in the United States. The aim was to reduce mistakes and speed up orders, but in some cases, AI delivered just the opposite. Like this frustrated customer.
And what will you drink with that?
I want a large Mountain Dew.
And your drink?
McDonald's drive-thrus also tried AI, but decided to scrap it because it was too unreliable. One person had bacon added to their ice cream in error, and another had hundreds of dollars worth of chicken nuggets mistakenly added to their order. As for Taco Bell, the fiasco has caused them to rethink their use of AI. Their Chief Technology Officer, Dane Matthews, told the Wall Street Journal in regards to deploying the voice AI system, quote, "Sometimes it lets me down, but sometimes it really surprises me," end quote. And what he said is the very crux of consumer generative AI today. It works most of the time, but about a few % of the time, it just gets things wrong. But where does this all lead? A recent MIT report found that after surveying 150 business leaders and 350 employees, just 5% of integrated AI pilots are extracting millions in value, while the vast majority remain stuck with no measurable profit and loss impact. In other words, AI implementation fails in 95% of the cases. The market was spooked by these findings, and shares in Nvidia, the $4 trillion company whose chips power the AI boom, dropped by 3.5%, while Palantir fell by 9% off the back of the news.
Oof.
It all sounds pretty heavy, but this was just a reaction to the headline, because as you dig deeper into what was actually said in the report, the picture isn't as clear-cut as AI simply failing everywhere. A few episodes ago, I talked about the current crisis with new graduate jobs. A large part of that was the AI threat. It's true and happening in some entry-level jobs, especially in the creative fields. I did caveat in that episode that current AI systems still get a lot wrong, but will improve in the future. But today, let's explore that fact a bit more deeply. What if generative consumer AI continues to underperform in businesses for years to come? In this episode, we'll look at how AI is actually performing once put into the position of taking people's jobs. To summarize the sentiment of this episode, it's basically this. Consumer generative AI will revolutionize global productivity eventually, but as for now, it's possibly in a bubble.
You are watching Cold Fusion TV.
You think?
So first thing, let's lay it out straight. AI has some legitimate use cases and works well in non-critical areas that don't require 100% precision. Robots, live translation, and even some prototype website builders like Lovable are some examples. But the sentiment is clear. Most people online find it annoying. But that aside, there's a fundamental problem with current generative AI. Let me explain. You see, everything we call artificial intelligence today was built on the findings of a 2017 paper from Google. That paper provided a way for AI to focus on different parts of an input sequence simultaneously and determine the relevance of each word to every other word. This innovation, called a transformer neural network, allowed researchers, computer scientists, and later companies to change the world. But herein lies the fundamental problem. With this method of transformer neural networks, it turns out by determining the relevance of each word and predicting the next word, it just makes up stuff. Essentially, it doesn't know what it's saying. We call this problem hallucinations, and it has real-world consequences. Picture this. You're a business that decided to replace its staff with AI to write up patient documents, fill in patient information, summarize meetings, or do some basic scheduling. But as time goes on, to your horror, you realize that the AI system makes up 10% of everything that it delivers. But the real problem is, you don't know what it's made up and you don't know what's accurate. So you or your staff manually have to go back and check everything. This ends up just being extra work for the remaining staff, and ultimately is a waste of time. It sounds stupid, but this is exactly what's happening. Now, the following are Reddit comments taken from those in the workforce who had to take the brunt of upper management thinking that blindly implementing AI was a good idea. Quote, "My company paid for some AI scheduling software a few months ago, thinking that it could free up the accounts team so that they could continue their hiring freeze in that department. Now the accounts team is having to do extra work making sure the program isn't messing everything up. Not to mention our production team that never had to worry about schedules is double/triple checking everything. They're finally scrapping it for some basic scheduling software." And same experience here. Products sold and demonstrated to be a lifesaver. Ultimately, the staff that used to do the work spend all their time making sure the AI doesn't screw up and help train it. Also, working in a medical/clinical setting, we really don't trust the new file sorting and labeling system. Names, date of birth, insurance data has to be perfect. AI is less than that. It fails at gathering proper demographic information and assigning relevant tasks. Sometimes it thinks the doctor is the patient or doesn't know where the document was faxed from, etc. And yet another user states that AI was good at taking notes from Zoom meetings, but would make up 5 to 20% of the content, even when hand-fed the transcripts of the meeting. Those who looked over the AI-generated summary realized that some of what was written wasn't even said. All of these disasters make sense. LLMs predict the next word statistically, but they'll never tell you when it doesn't know the answer, or if it can't understand something. There's many such stories of company regrets after rushing into half-baked AI solutions. A report suggests that 55% of companies regret replacing people with AI. This bank, for example, who fired staff to install an AI chatbot that was so bad they begged for their old humans back. And take the example of Klarna. 2 years ago, they implemented a hiring freeze and began to replace their human staff with AI. By 2024, their headcount had fallen from 3,800 to 2,000. But lo and behold, their customers wanted to speak to actual humans. Klarna said that its AI chatbots perform the work of 800 employees, but the company admits that their service quality and customer satisfaction have dropped, and they lament that human interaction is still needed. On replacing people with AI, the publication Fortune notes, quote, "Not only is it short-sighted, it's fundamentally bad business. The companies cutting people today in the name of AI will be the ones playing catch-up tomorrow. There's no doubt that AI is excellent at doing more with less. It speeds up processes, cuts down repetitive work, and buys back time. But AI on its own cannot create the next generation of products and services." End quote. So on Cold Fusion, we try to be thorough here. So it has to be said that all of these failures aren't the full story. There are indeed companies that are extremely successful at using artificial intelligence. Now, even though the MIT paper said that 95% of companies who implemented generative AI failed in said implementation, the same MIT paper states, quote, "Some large companies, pilots, and younger startups are really excelling with generative AI. They mean startups led by 19 or 20-year-olds. They, quote, have seen revenues jump from 0 to 20 million in a year. It's because they pick one pain point, execute it well, and partner smartly with companies who use their tools." End quote. So how companies adopt AI is crucial. For example, purchasing AI tools from specialized vendors and building partnerships succeed 67% of the time, while internal builds succeed only 1/3 as often. This goes to show that you can't just slap AI everywhere and expect it to work. It needs thought in its implementation and also depends on the specificity of the AI tools in question. But in the grand scheme of things, it's still early days for AI, and it'll be naive to think that it will stay the same forever. All it would take is another groundbreaking paper, a new underlying neural network architecture, and everything could change again. This could mean another giant leap forward that none of us are expecting. But in the meantime, it's uncomfortable territory. So what happens?
Like the steam engine which sparked the Industrial Revolution of the late 1700s, the internet is changing everything it touches. And at the cutting edge of the revolution is Wall Street.
In the dot-com bubble during the mid-90s, everyone who simply put a .com at the end of their company name saw massive valuations because investors who didn't understand the technology saw them as the future. In reality, these companies had no solid way of making a profit or didn't even have a business plan. When the broader market realized that it was all a smokescreen, the sector crashed. Most companies went out of business, and only a handful made it out and are giants today. So let's compare that to the AI wave of today. The long-awaited release of ChatGPT 5 was a disappointment, and many users even thought the previous version was better, and this caused OpenAI to scramble. In addition, the company was also caught blatantly fudging the performance numbers in some very strange graphs. Incremental rather than revolutionary was the tone. Soon, Meta would announce that it's downsizing its AI division, and this comes amongst a growing chorus of analysts saying that AI is heading towards, if not, is already in a bubble. And next we have the massive valuations and spending. NVIDIA H100s, the GPUs that power the artificial intelligence boom, are about $30,000 to $40,000 each. Google has 26,000 of them, and they've managed to create AlphaFold, Gemini, Veo 3, and more. But Meta, on the other hand, has 600,000 NVIDIA H100s. And while they do have the open source Llama LLM, it isn't discovering new science like Google's AlphaFold for 23 times the compute. And to give you an idea of how extreme this is all getting, AI itself has caused a 4% increase in electricity use in the US. Morgan Stanley states that data center investment will reach $3 trillion over the next 3 years in preparation for AI use, and of course, that's heavily fueled by debt. The belief is that AI will cut costs by 40%, and that should add $16 trillion to the S&P. But as we've just seen at the beginning of this episode, according to that MIT study, that could be very unrealistic. So this could be the future if AI doesn't improve massively soon. Number 1. Business executives and business owners will get frustrated with hallucinations, useless solutions, bad code, and a very poor return on investment. Number 2. A lot of the AI gurus like Sam Altman will have to admit that artificial general intelligence isn't going to be achieved by LLMs, and they're essentially a dead end. Number 3. The general populace begins to get sick of LLMs, and we're already seeing it. The absolute flood of AI slop, the hallucinations, AI agreeing with what users say, sometimes driving them insane. Number 4. In seeing this, the venture capital finally dries up, and LLMs become just too expensive to justify, unless there's a massive increase in efficiency.
The cost to run OpenAI's data centers, all the pipes and guts and things that keep AI running, is about $40 billion a year. Their revenues right now are only 15 to 20 billion.
And finally, number 5. After a long winter, new implementations come around that truly live up to the hype promised by the first wave. So just like the .com bubble, there's going to be a few winners that rise from the ashes. But if or when it crashes, from here, we see the true artificial...
Hi, Nobella. How are you? I'm currently recovering from a cold. And I had to cancel stream yesterday. I was coughing so much, I ended up it ended up shooting down my vocal cords. So my vocal cords are recovering. as we speak. I'm okay so far. Recovering from a cold, I'm outside of that, I'm pulling through. Yeah. Try not to talk too much, just to let my vocals recover. And I just wanted to do art stream. There goes the vocal cords. Yeah, thank you. Hope you enjoy. Hope you stick around and just vibe here.
Artificial intelligence companies that last the distance. So to finish off this episode, let me end with this. I've talked about this.
I think it's maybe a new strand, new subvariant of the cold. Because I've had the cold before, it wasn't this bad, and I've seen my parents have the cough virus, and it's not as bad. It's not that. It's definitely cold, yes, not the flu, but it's much worse. And unfortunately, I can't afford shit right now because my car needs immediate maintenance, and I don't have the money for that maintenance right now. I just don't have money to spare.
Thought in its implementation and also depends on the specificity of the AI.
Also, I was watching how this video basically talking about how AI is just basically a bubble, and how companies fail to implement AI.
tools in question. But in the grand scheme of things, it's still early days for AI, and it'll be naive to think that it'll stay the flying .com bubble during sector crises.
I go back where I was.
To create 23 times the
There we
compute.
go.
And to give you an idea of how extreme this is all getting, AI itself has caused a 4% increase in electricity use in the US. Morgan Stanley states that data
Chat, make sure you stay safe. Make sure you get your vaccines.
center investment will reach $3 trillion over the next 3 years in preparation for AI use. And of course,
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get my vaccine because I didn't have health insurance at the time. And I got kicked out of 2 houses within 4 months. Not really in the case of my fault. It's more of a set of unfortunate circumstances. Both of them regarding one of them, actually the first one, it was my first apartment, and both my roommates were slowly financially abusing me. So eventually I say, fuck this shit, I'm moving out. And the second house, unfortunately, I was trying to help a friend afford their house, and unfortunately their bank refused to give them a mortgage, and essentially got kicked out. So I'm here, finally got health insurance. Unfortunately, way too late for the vaccine because life says fuck me, I guess. So probably I'm gonna have to wait about 2 weeks after I'm done. I am fully recovered from the cold, then get the vaccine.
that's heavily fueled by debt. The belief is that AI will cut costs by 40%, and that should add $16 trillion to the S&P. But as we've just seen at the beginning of this episode, according to that MIT study,
Yeah, it sucks being sick. It sucks even more when the cold ends up shooting down your vocal cords. At first I thought it was a strep throat, but I looked through the symptoms. I was like, nope, it's a cold.
That could be very unrealistic. So this could be the future if AI doesn't improve massively soon. Number 1. Business executives and business owners will get frustrated with hallucinations, useless solutions, bad code, and a very poor return on investment. Number 2. A lot of the AI gurus like Sam Altman will have to admit that artificial general intelligence isn't going to be achieved by LLMs, and they're essentially a dead end. Number 3. The general populace begins to get sick of LLMs, and we're already seeing it. The absolute flood of AI slop, the hallucinations, AI agreeing with what users say, sometimes driving them insane. Number 4. In seeing this, the venture capital finally dries up, and LLMs become just too expensive to justify, unless there's a massive increase in efficiency.
The cost to run OpenAI's data centers, all the pipes and guts and things that like keep AI running, is about $40 billion a year. Their revenues right now are only like 15 to 20 billion.
And finally, number 5. After a long winter, new implementations come around that truly live up to the hype promised by the first wave. So just like the dot-com bubble, there's going to be a few winners that rise from the ashes. But if or when it crashes, from here, we see the true artificial intelligence companies that last the distance. So to finish off this episode, let me end with this. I've talked about this many times in my older episodes, but take a look at this diagram. It's called the Gartner Hype Cycle, and it describes the typical progression of the infiltration of new technologies into society. So where do you think we are? The technology trigger? The peak of inflated expectations? The trough of disillusionment? The slope of enlightenment? Or the plateau of productivity? Feel free to comment down below. So where to from here? Well, Sam Altman and all the other AI leaders should focus their efforts on fixing the hallucinations. Once again, a different neural network architecture could be discovered, one that fixes hallucinations. Or perhaps it could just be fixed manually, either way, ushering in a new boom. But that all being said, and that's the funny thing about AI, the point is, with AI, nobody knows the future. So what do you guys think? Do you think we're in a bubble and a crash is imminent? Or do you think the next AI innovation is just around the corner? Hey guys, it's me. Hi, I'm not an AI.
I think we'll be on the edge of the crash.
So you're finally seeing my...
Alright. For next one. Here we go.
Alright, how's it going everybody? Welcome to another Need for Speed Most Wanted video, and today I'm going to be doing a subscriber request requesting me to cover pretty much every glitch I could find in Need for Speed Most Wanted. And while I'm sure most of these glitches are known by the community already, I did want to fulfill this subscriber's request, as well as maybe shed some light on some lesser known glitches in this game. Now let's get started. Starting off with the glitch I think everybody is most familiar with, the bus station glitch. For those who don't know,
I love watching
drive
glitches.
to the bus station, which is located here on the map, crash into the glass, drive up this ramp, and park yourself right here. And for some reason, the cops won't be able to see you. This means that you can easily farm bounty and complete pursuit duration milestones without even having to worry about getting busted. And if you want some extra style points, try crashing into this pillar to warp yourself on top of the ramp. Now for the next glitch that I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, the out of level glitch. Drive to this location in Camden Beach, face the garage door, put on the far camera, look back, and you'll be able to drive forward through the wall. And as I'm sure most of you know, you can use this glitch to speed run the final pursuit and complete it in under 3 minutes. And while we're pretty much on the same topic, let's go ahead and cover this glitch that allows you to access the old bridge early. To do this, crash into the bucket of this machine, turn right, then turn left, hit the wall, hit reset car, and you should be respawned through this pile of dirt, which will allow you to pass through and explore the old bridge area. And I know I mentioned the bus station glitch already, but there's actually another police blind spot that, while still relatively known, is not as popular as the bus station glitch. Basically, you drive to this amphitheater right here, which you can find using this pursuit breaker, drive around the back, park here,
Thank you.
and again, the cops won't be able to see you. While the Rockport
Originally supposed to be generic librarian, generic character challenge, supposed to be like a librarian theme. Instead, it devolved into what if there was a witch that got the Omnitrix, or basically what I call the witch tricks.
City Borough isn't unlocked until after beating Earl, you can actually explore it early during Izzy's chapter. To do this, start the circuit race Omega, and instead of racing, turn around and go the wrong way. And once you get to this underground parking garage, drive through it, then drive through the second one, and you'll be outside the boundaries of the track. Once outside, drive to the train tracks that lead to Rockport, and you'll notice them unrestricted by the lock barriers. Drive past the train tracks, then pause the game and hit quit to free roam, and you'll notice yourself in downtown Rockport able to explore freely. Now, since the area is still technically locked, there's not a whole lot you can do around here, but it's still pretty fun to be able to explore it, and it's pretty useful to learn the streets before you can even get there. Did you know that the inside of your safe house is actually a lie?
What?
Let me explain what I mean. So you'll need to be at the Rosewood safe house in order to do this. Start by going to free roam, crashing into this wall near the dumpster, and then reverse into the wall behind you, hit reset car, and you'll notice yourself warped inside the garage. And as it turns out, there's nothing in here. Is Heat5 giving you a little bit of trouble? Have you completed all your milestones, but you still can't seem to escape the cops? Then let me show you this glitch that I already covered in my stock 𝑖ce300 run. For this to work, you'll need to evade the helicopter first. So drive to this spot on the map, drive through the open gate, and park yourself behind these boxes and wooden planks. Once your evade meter starts to fill up, back up a little bit, and then drive into the hiding spot until you notice the cooldown bar says hiding. Once you've done this, you've pretty much escaped the pursuit with no problem. Now, you may or may not recall a video I uploaded covering a glitch where I got busted randomly doing a challenge series race. Oh, I think I figured out how to replicate this glitch. So go into the challenge series and select challenge 4. And as soon as you see the loading screen, press the reset button as fast and often as you can. If done correctly, you'll get busted before the game even loads. A pretty pointless glitch, but an amusing one nonetheless. I'm not sure which other pursuit challenges this works with, but feel free to try whatever you want. Are you having trouble with Razor's third race? Well, you shouldn't be, because let's be honest, he drives worse than a blind, dementia-riddled 81-year-old grandma. But let's say, for the sake of the video, that you're struggling with it. So once you get to about 60% of the race, you want to go to the front end of this barrier and squeeze through this gap you see right here. Once you get past it, take the path that I'm showing you in the video.
Okay, that's cheese.
Then once you clip through this barrier right here, you'll notice you've skipped a huge chunk of the race, making the race so easy that you could literally beat it in a stock 𝑖ce300. But let's be honest, what kind of idiot would do that? Right? Have you ever seen Lotus Elise turn itself into its own personal slingshot? Well, if you want to see that happen, here's how to do it. So to start, obviously you'll need to customize a Lotus Elise. Equip whatever body kits and or spoiler you want. This will be important as you'll need this later. And then fully max out the upgrades. Now here's another important step. So you will need to equip all of the Junkman parts as well as the ultimate upgrades. You can get these through the Burger King Challenge cheat code or through extra options. And once you have everything you need, go into any race you want. Once there, pause the game and go to performance tuning and set everything to -3. Then you want to hold down the brake and the gas at the same time while simultaneously holding one of the steering buttons, and once your rev limiter has hit the max, simultaneously let go of the gas and the steering, and just hold down the reverse button. Again, this glitch is pretty useless in a race, but it can be pretty fun to mess around and slingshot and catapult your car. Just like in the case of Omega, the track West Park and Lions has a place where you can free roam during the race. So you want to get to about 79% of the race, and instead of going the correct path, make a really sharp right and turn around and pass behind this barrier. This is a more pointless free roaming glitch again, but it's still pretty interesting to see how the developers didn't put a wall here. So I'm sure most of you who have played this game know about this roundabout and how you can get to this underpass, right? Well, for those of you who don't, what you want to do is you want to scrape this wall right here, and then you want to hit the reset car button and you'll find yourself in the middle of this locked area. Now let's talk about the infamous defeated bug and pretty much everything it does. For this to work, you'll need two things. One save game where you've already beaten Razor, and another save game that's been at least played past the prologue but not yet completed. Start the game and load your completed save file, and then immediately after, load your not so completed save file. As you can see here, the game thinks I defeated Sunny even though I have none of the requirements to race him. Another interesting thing this does is unlocks all visual and performance upgrades. Of course, you'll still need the money to pay for them, but it's a pretty cool thing to have pretty early on in the game. Strangely though, it doesn't unlock all the cars. But if you ask me, you probably won't need to buy anything else, seeing as if you save just about $300,000, you can have an upgraded car relatively early. Lastly, this glitch allows you to do the final pursuit in whatever car you race Razor in. Unfortunately though, this does mean you won't get the BMW back by the end of the game, so if you want to use any car during the final pursuit and keep the BMW at the same time, I recommend doing it this way. So, first of all, you're going to need Need for Speed Extra Options, which you can find by literally searching it on YouTube. Once you've extracted everything to your game folder, go to Scripts and NFSMW Extra Options.ini and find Replay Blacklist Races. Set this from 0 to 1 and then go take on Razor. Now you will have to do all 5 races, but whatever car you use to take on Razor will be the car you use for the final pursuit as well. Now I'm going to cover 2 glitches that are pretty well known and commonly used by speedrunners, starting with the boss skip glitch. Instead of pressing the button to continue as normal, hover your mouse over the top right corner of the box and then click it. You'll notice that instead of selecting markers from the current boss that you just defeated, you're selecting markers from the next one instead. Now I will say to be careful with this because you will miss out on the skipped boss's pink slip. So if there's a blacklist car that you really want, I suggest not skipping the boss. Now for a glitch that unfortunately has been patched in version 1.3. But if you have retail version 1.2 or any other console version, consider yourself lucky because this is a huge time saver. So you want to go into Quick Race and select either Circuit or Lap Knockout for whichever race you're trying to shorten. And then in the options menu, set the lap count to 1. So now when you play that circuit or lap knockout in career mode, you'll only be playing it with 1 lap. Now since I feel like I pretty much covered everything, for this part of the video I'm going to show you just a couple of goofy things that happened as well as just random game bugs.
Lol. Right. Hello. Hi, Blitzy. I get the name. How are you? I'm currently recovering from a cold. My vocal cords are shut. I'm coughing so much. Alright. But how you been?
The rebar incident. On a construction site in the Philippines during the 1990s, a worker was moving across the upper levels of an unfinished building. Below him, dozens of rebar rods stood vertically from the concrete foundation, waiting to be set into the next layer of the structure. It was a sight anyone in construction is used to: steel bars sticking up into the air. One misstep was all it took. He lost his balance, tumbled off the edge, and landed straight onto the cluster of rebar below. Multiple rods pierced his body in an instant, one driving through his torso, another bursting through his thigh, and at least one more exiting clean through his shoulder. The sheer force pinned him upright, skewered like meat on a spit. He was conscious when rescuers reached him, writhing in agony, blood spilling down the rods beneath him. But cutting him free wasn't simple. Each rebar had to be sawed off individually while he was still hanging there, screaming with every vibration of the metal. For hours, he remained alive, skewered through multiple organs, while
Oof.
workers and paramedics tried desperately to free him without killing him outright. But the
Yeah,
damage was too...
thank you. Hopefully the next day or two I get better. I just make sure to take off syrup. Try to draw stolens. Hey, no piece, no art piece is a mistake. Every single art piece is a happy accident. I try to lighten things up. But hey, a Teen Titan has been hotel OC combo doesn't sound bad. Hey, I'm in the middle of doing a character design challenge, and I actually birthed another Ben 10 AU. A witch version of Ben called Gen 10, and a witch version of Andrix called the Witch Tricks.
severe. Internal bleeding and shock overcame him.
Might just make it. I mean, might as well. You never know never know where it's gonna go.
Before he ever reached the hospital.
Meaning, like, you never know where your art journey is gonna go. I mean, I didn't expect to be here. Yeah, I've always wanted to do digital art, learn digital art. I started out with traditional art with color pencils, markers, you name it, and I got relatively good at it until I ended up going no contact with my family and didn't draw for 2 years until I got back with digital art. Hey, I mean the weirder the better. I'm drawing a witchy Ben 10 OC AU thing. So it's as weird as it gets. It may be weird, but looking back, pretty cool.
The cement mixer incident. This next situation takes place in India, on a large-scale building site
Oh yeah, I need
buzzing
to.
with machinery and workers rushing to meet deadlines.
Common thing with artists like me, I forget to do the shadows or color at all. Hey, I I watch Hell of Boss. I watch Meta Runner, Murder Drones, Husband Hotel. I'm watching a new series, two new series, Glitches. Glitch recently released the pilots for. It may look weird at first, but it's pretty cool.
Among the loud roars of engines and the constant
Hey, remember 2012 SMG4? Really fucking weird. But I thought it was cool. And I still think it's cool.
clatter of steel, a piece of equipment dominated the scene: the cement mixer, which is a massive rotating drum designed to churn concrete nonstop. A worker, tasked with checking the machinery, climbed too close to the mouth of the drum, and with the chaos of the site, with noise and dust clouding his senses, one slip was all it took. He toppled forward and was sucked inside the rotating mixer. Inside the drum, thick, wet concrete spun like quicksand mixed with stone. The worker was thrashed violently against the drum's interior as the heavy blades turned. Colleagues
Oof.
scrambled to shut it down, but by the time the machine ground to a halt, the man had already been pulverized beyond recognition. When the crew finally opened the drum, what they pulled out was no longer a man, but a broken body coated in gray cement, bones shattered, skin torn, and organs ruptured from the relentless pounding. Some parts had even fused with the half-mixed concrete, as though the machine
I mean, we know a certain pair of hands that got their organs ruptured. I'm sorry I had to go there. I mean, yeah, they're a bit weird, but the lore is fucking good. I mean, I wouldn't say good, it's more like it's interesting.
had tried to incorporate him into the building itself. The molten steel incident. In
I
2014,
mean,
inside
it's on the edge of a masterpiece, but didn't quite hit home. Ben 11.
a steel
Why are you calling it Ben 11? So, I mean, yeah. Might as well make an AU where Ken 11 got the Omnitrix.
plant in China, the air shimmered with heat,
I mean, yeah, I get that. If it stuck around long enough, you will under you'll be comparing my streams to Hell of a Boss.
furnaces blazed at temperatures hotter than volcanic lava, and molten steel poured like glowing rivers of liquid fire. Workers moved between cranes, ladles, and massive vats of metal, surrounded by sparks and the constant roar of industry. It looked like just another punishing shift in the steel business, basically like playing tag with lava for minimum wage, until one worker stepped too close to the
Oof.
edge. In a fraction of a second, his footing gave way. The fall wasn't long, but where he landed was unforgiving. He plunged straight into a vat of molten steel, superheated to over 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit. At that temperature, there's no second chance, no time to scream, and no possibility of survival. His body was gone the moment it hit. The steel incinerated flesh and bone instantly, reducing a living man into nothing more than vapor and ash. Unlike accidents where a body can at least be recovered, there was nothing left to pull from the vat, only a faint hiss as the liquid metal consumed him
Hey,
completely.
my
The workers stood frozen, horrified at what they'd just seen. Rescue wasn't an option, not when the environment itself was lethal to approach. Even with protective gear, no one could survive near a
Oh
furnace
well.
that hot, let alone inside it. By the time the vat was poured out and cooled, any trace of the worker had been erased, fused into the steel itself. The scaffold incident. In 2019, at a busy construction site in India, workers scrambled across scaffolding that climbed several stories into the air. The structure
It's India. You know what's gonna happen. No, I mean, oh no, no, not their OC. Also, Blitzy. Unironically, I call my chat Blitzies, and my chat proclaimed me as their mom. So.
rattled under their weight, wooden planks creaking, metal poles swaying as hammers and drills echoed around the site. To the men working up there, this was just another day of building in the brutal heat. But scaffolds are only as strong as the bolts holding them, And that day, something gave way. In a sudden lurch, the entire structure shifted. Boards snapped, jolts bent, and the whole platform came down in a crashing cascade of steel and wood. Most of the crew scrambled out of the way or clung to the wreckage as it fell, but one man wasn't so lucky. He plummeted headfirst into the debris, landing directly onto a cluster of protruding steel rods.
Hey, Proper. How are you? Let's see.
Jutting upward from the wreck. The bars punched
Damn, I didn't know you were into vor.
into his face and skull with sickening precision, impaling him where he landed. Co-workers rushed to him immediately, the chaos of the collapse replaced with horrified urgency. He was still alive, breathing
There's hangry and there's horngry.
shallowly, blood pooling
Yes, that's a thing.
fast.
Um, oh, hey yo. I'll see you later. But hey yo.
As he gasped for air through the twisted wreckage. Workers grabbed cutting tools, hacksaws, anything they could use to free him from the rods that had trapped him like an animal in a steel trap. The rescue effort was frantic but hopeless. Every movement sent fresh blood streaming, and every attempt to cut the rods seemed too slow, too clumsy, against the clock that was ticking away inside his body. His strength gave out before the steel did. The elevator shaft incident. Unlike the morning rush when elevators are packed with commuters,
Yes.
this was an empty building, quiet except for the hum of machinery. A maintenance worker stepped into the shaft to handle another routine check. Just him, his tools, and the silence of a steel box waiting to be fixed. As he worked, the lift above suddenly jolted to life. The car began moving downward, slow but unstoppable. At first, it didn't look like a threat.
Yesn't.
After all, elevators creep along at a pace that feels almost lazy. But in a tight shaft with no escape, that steady descent turned into a nightmare. The worker was pinned against the wall as the massive weight pressed closer, inch by inch. Unlike the dramatic free falls you see in movies, this was worse. Crushing, suffocating, and drawn out. Bones snapped slowly under the relentless pressure, each one cracking like twigs in the dark.
Ooh.
Co-workers scrambled to hit controls to stop the system mid-descent, but the machinery wasn't interested in human panic. The car kept grinding lower, sealing his fate with mechanical indifference. And honestly, being caught between
Yeah.
floors usually means a late meeting. This time,
Got. Let's see. Can we keep the chat in English, please? I don't want to have end up muting anyone. Thank you.
it meant that the elevator was the
So Proper, especially you, I told you multiple times, keep the chat in English.
meeting, and he wasn't leaving it alive. By the time it finally came to a halt, there was nothing left to save. His body had been mangled beyond recognition, wedged in place like part of the very machine he had been sent to fix. The road roller incident.
Can it go any fucking faster, you little fuckhead? This is the issue of having too many extensions on, even though all of them are important. Can you load any fucking faster, you little... How is it this slow? How is it this fucking slow? There we go, finally. Jesus fucking Christ. It's no problem for for YouTube. It's no problem for loading videos, but loading entire channels. Okay, what the fuck is going on? Okay, where the fuck is it? There it is. Pop-up chat, thank you. Thank you. Grover, I told you multiple fucking times. Multiple fucking times. I'm putting you in timeout. 1 minute timeout. I told you multiple fucking times. Keep the chat in goddamn English. English. Let's see. Here's this warning. Here's a warning. When I say keep chat in English, keep chat in English. I mean it. That's one of my rules in my chat. I gave Prover almost 20 warnings. Keep chat in English for the love of fuck. I don't care if you're... I don't care how old you are. You act like a child in this chat. I'm gonna treat you like one. And my voice box is already shot as is. Don't fucking piss me off. Rover, keep the chat in goddamn English. Do not fucking piss me off again. Do not piss me off again. I'm usually chill with chat, but if I have to repeatedly, I understand that. I don't fucking care. Keep it at. If you want to use medical terms, fucking give us a heads up you're using medical terms first. If you want to speak another language, not in my chat. Unless you're genuinely from a different country, try to keep the chat in English. use Google Translate to keep the chat in English if you can. But keep the chat in English. All right. I don't like going on a rant. I don't like being authoritarian. I really don't. I just want to have a chill stream. Please chat, keep the chat in English. And for people from an international audience, whoever's watching, I'm sorry you have to witness this. And I understand. I fucking hate why. I fucking hate the fact that science and medical field use long words to describe stuff. I fucking hate that. I understand why, but I fucking don't like that. Also, if it's not relevant, if it's not relevant to what's going on, don't keep the chat on topic. I don't care what I'm doing. If I'm playing Minecraft, we're talking about Minecraft. If we're watching YouTube, we're talking about what's going on, what we're watching on YouTube. I don't fucking care what you think. I don't care if you think I'm being too harsh. No, here's the rules of my chat. 1, keep the chat in English. Use Google Translate if you have to. 2, keep the chat relevant to what we're doing. Don't go off topic and go and try to steer the chat in another direction. Don't do that. 3, obviously, avoid don't say any slurs, or don't use slurs in a way that intentionally hurts someone. And 4, I will give you several warnings. Hell, I'm generous with the warnings. Rover, I gave you more than 20 warnings. Hey, keep the chat in English. Hey, keep the chat on topic. I don't want to treat you like a kid. I don't want you. I understand chat calls me their mom. At the same time, I want to treat chat like equals. Rover, if you want to leave the chat, go right ahead. Yeah. My apologies, chat, for going on a rant. Dealing with YouTube's YouTube chat. I just want to have a chill stream. I really did. My voice is shot. I shouldn't even be talking. I'm trying to save my voice. Instead, I'm going on a goddamn rant because one of my chatters doesn't know what fucking rules are. They think it's funny that they think the rules don't affect them. Well, here's the bombshell. Nobody is safe from my rules and have it on chat. Obviously, 2 big ones is no soliciting and once again, there's no soliciting. And just be chill. Other than that, pretty much the overall rule is just use common sense. Yes, I will entertain chat. But if I say please keep the chat in English, or please let's keep things on topic. At first, that is a request. Then it becomes a warning. Then it becomes timeouts, and eventually it becomes a ban. I'm sorry to everyone who's watching my stream and me having me go on this rant. But please keep the chat on topic. No soliciting. Basically, don't be mean in chat. And pretty much, last but not least, use common sense. Please. However, I'm not gonna ban you. I just want you to know, hey, I understand we're trying to have fun in chat, but please can we keep the chat in English and can we not go too wild in chat? Thank you. Again, my apologies for going on this rant.
In the 2010s, on a roadwork site in Vietnam, heavy machinery dominated the scene. The loud grind of engines and the rhythmic pounding of equipment drowned out nearly every other.
Oh, fuck you. Hey, it's okay. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not blaming anyone. I just get frustrated when chat doesn't listen. Nobody is stupid. I try to be nice. I try to be generous. I try to play in. I try to entertain chat however I can. But when it goes too far, I just try to be nice. Be polite. Say please. Let's not go too wild. But I don't want to getting to the point where I am ranting and I'm already I'm already stressed about life as is, and I just wanted to have a chill stream. It's nobody's fault. I'm sorry y'all have to see me this way. Y'all really don't deserve to witness me like this. Okay, I gotta restart this. That's why we're here. What's going on? What's going on with YouTube? Come on. Okay, what's going on? Are you kidding me? Wow, Google. Wow, YouTube as well. So basically, what's going on with YouTube now, what they just rolled out today, or basically what they rolled out just now, I'm not allowed to watch YouTube if I have an ad block on. I'm not telling you which ad block I have. But yeah, YouTube, you're a fucking cuckhead. Uh,
The rebar structure shifted. Collapse replaced with horrified urgency. He was still
that's working, but YouTube, really? I didn't hear you say stopped. That's partially on me because I I'm not always paying attention to chat, and because I'm also sick, and y'all can't really understand me that well when I'm sick. I'm pushing myself too far with vocal cords. Fuck, I don't like being this way. Fuck. I appreciate your concern, but it's not your fault. Alright? I'm just letting chat know, hey, let's just use some common sense. Let's not, because I need to know what's going on in chat. Now, I don't understand what's being said. Either y'all gonna have a long ass timeout, or y'all gonna get permanent banned. Again, I'll try to be as polite as I can. Say, hey, please keep chatting English. Please, let's not go too wild. Just use common sense, basically. I'm not blaming anyone. I just want chat to have fun, as well as I want chat to be safe.
alive, breathing shallowly, blood pooling fast as he gasped for air through the twisted wreckage. Workers grabbed cutting tools, hacksaws, anything they could use to free him from the rods that had trapped him like an animal in a steel trap. The rescue effort was frantic, but hopeless. Every movement sent fresh blood streaming, and every attempt to cut the rods seemed too slow, too clumsy, against the clock that was ticking away inside his body. His strength gave out before the steel did. The elevator shaft incident. Unlike the morning rush when elevators are packed with commuters, this was an empty building, quiet except for the hum of machinery. A maintenance worker stepped into the shaft to handle another routine check. Just him, his tools, and the silence of a steel box waiting to be fixed. As down wall as in movie sent, or as usual, he had been mangled beyond recognition, wedged in place like part of the very machine he had been sent to fix. the road roller incident. In the 2010s, on a roadwork site in Vietnam, heavy machinery dominated the scene. The loud grind of engines and the rhythmic pounding of equipment drowned out nearly every other sound. Workers moved between the dust and diesel fumes, focused on finishing the endless stretch of asphalt. Among the hulking machines was the road roller, slow, steady, and deceptively harmless looking, like a giant metal steamroller from a Looney Tunes episode. Except here, there was no second takes and no laugh track. One worker lost his footing near the moving machine. In a single misstep, he fumbled forward and slipped beneath the roller's front drum. The weight of the steel cylinder pressed down instantly, pinning him to the ground. Unlike fast accidents where death comes in a flash, this was drawn out. The machine crept forward at a pace that was agonizingly slow, flattening him inch by inch while he was still alive. Witnesses heard him screaming, a desperate wail that cut through the roar of engines as the roller advanced. Bones cracked under the weight, ribs collapsing, his chest flattening as his insides burst and spread beneath the crushing drum. Skin split open, blood sprayed across the freshly laid asphalt, and the machine painted the road with him as it moved. Coworkers tried frantically to stop the vehicle, but momentum and mass weren't on their side. By the time the machine finally halted, there was nothing recognizable left. If you've made it this far, you've just sat through some of the most brutal and downright agonizing ways construction workers have met their end. Why would you do this to yourself? I have no idea, but congrats. That's all I've got for now. So maybe stay out of the elevator shafts, keep your distance from scaffolds, and for the love of everything, don't test your luck with a road roller. Stay safe out there.
Funny thing is, in the elevator at a hotel I was at earlier this year. Basically, it broke midway, like between floors. And staff said, "Do not call 911. We can get the elevator working." I was like, "Nah, like that shit." And as soon as you say that, I'm calling 911. As soon as I heard those words, I mean, you don't know, the shit you're doing. Go. I'm going to do shadows for this.
Ten signs that reveal trust issues.
Ooh. These. Network. I admired that, the ambition. I'm pretty sure that the series is going to end by the time your skills are sufficient in that. If you'll, but you probably could be an animator on an entirely unexpected, on shows you would never expect. But I wish you good luck on that. My dream is to create my first manga.
Let's get right into it. Number 1, difficulty opening up. Do you ever feel like your personal life is a top secret government file, locked in a vault, guarded by laser beams, and only accessible to you? If someone asks, "How are you?" your default answer is a breezy, "I'm fine," even if
Yep.
10 signs that reveal trust issues. Let's get right. I'm fine, even if you're internally juggling flaming swords. This isn't about being private, it's about building a fortress around your feelings. People with trust issues treat vulnerability like a contagious disease. Sharing a personal story or a genuine emotion feels less like connecting and more like handing someone the instruction manual on how to dismantle you. Your brain, in its infinite and sometimes misguided wisdom, has flagged emotional openness as a high-level threat. It remembers a time when you let your
Yeah.
guard down and got burned, and now it's installed a state-of-the-art firewall. The result? You become
Yeah, I want to create my own manga. I know what I want to create, but I know I'm gonna need a team to create it.
a master of deflection, a connoisseur of small talk about the weather, and an expert at keeping conversations floating safely in the shallow end.
Here's the thing, I hate small talk. I like going in depth in random, pretty much any topic imaginable.
You might share facts, but you withhold feelings. You'll tell someone what you did, but never why it mattered. This emotional lockdown is a survival tactic. But the very walls you build to protect yourself can quickly become a prison, keeping out not just the hurt, but the love and connection you crave. Number 2, overthinking motives. If a colleague offers you a coffee, is your first thought, how kind? Or is it, okay, what's the catch? What do they want from me? Are they trying to poison me with suspiciously friendly caffeine? Welcome to the mental chess game of someone with trust issues. Every act of kindness is scrutinized, every compliment is dissected, and every friendly gesture is put under a microscope. Your mind becomes a full-time detective, relentlessly searching for the hidden agenda, the ulterior motive. It's a cognitive pattern where your brain's threat detection system is stuck on overdrive. It's no longer just protecting you from obvious dangers. It's treating every human interaction as a potential Trojan horse. A friend's praise isn't a gift, it's a strategic move. A partner's affection isn't genuine, it's a ploy to lower your defenses. This constant suspicion is exhausting, not just for you, but for the people around you who are genuinely trying to be good to you. It's like trying to have a picnic in a minefield. You're so focused on where not to step that you can't enjoy the sunshine. You end up analyzing kindness into oblivion, convinced that if it looks too good to be true, it's a trap. Number
Mhm. You're definitely seeing things. I'm definitely not moving that blitz push behind your back.
3, fear of betrayal. For many, the fear of betrayal isn't a what-if scenario. It's a when and how certainty. It's a low-humming anxiety that plays in the background of your relationships, a constant companion that whispers cautionary tales in your ear. Even when things are going perfectly, there's a part of your brain waiting for the other shoe to drop. Your partner is late from work, and your mind doesn't default to traffic. It writes a dramatic screenplay about their secret life. A friend doesn't text back immediately, and you're already preparing a eulogy for your friendship. This isn't just run-of-the-mill insecurity, it's a deep-seated
Oh no. It's getting into your Wi-Fi.
hypervigilance, a state of being perpetually braced for impact. This fear is often a ghost from a past wound, a time when someone you trusted broke that bond, leaving an emotional scar. Now, that scar tingles whenever you get close to someone new. It can manifest as jealousy, possessiveness, or a need to control the situation to minimize the risk of being blindsided again. You're constantly scanning for red flags, searching for cracks in the foundation, convinced you will find them if you just look hard enough, often failing to realize you might be the one creating them. Number 4, struggling with forgiveness. Do you have an emotional filing cabinet in your mind where you store every single time someone has ever wronged you, complete with dates, times, and a detailed report of the infraction? For someone with trust issues, forgiveness doesn't feel like a release. It feels like a surrender. It feels like you're telling the person who hurt you, it's okay. What you did wasn't a big deal, when in fact, it was a very big deal. Holding on to the anger and the hurt feels like holding on to the lesson. That grudge becomes a shield, a constant glowing reminder. Never again. Never forget. The problem is, this shield is incredibly heavy. You're the one who has to carry it. The person who hurt you has likely moved on with their life, while you're still lugging around this monument to their mistake. Your brain
Lol.
has wired that memory to a threat response. Forgiving feels like willfully deleting your best defended antivirus software, leaving your
Honestly, well, that ain't gonna do anything. I have major trust issues. I am working on them, yes. I got better at managing it. I've grown, lol. I kind of just categorize it like a filing cabinet. One, level 1 and level 2 infractions. It's forgivable and it'll take time, but still forgivable. And there's level 3 to level 5. It'll take time for me to decide if it's forgivable or not. Then unforgivable at first, but I see why. But I'm still gonna hold it against you. Playfully though, after like 10 years or so. And then there's I can forgive you. And there's only 2 people that are on level 5. My old social worker said my anxiety levels are through the roof because of what I was going through at the time. She said, like, no medication is gonna resolve this. This needs to be, we need to get you out of this situation and get you therapy.
system vulnerable to the same attack.
But eventually, the government said, no, it's fine. And it pissed off about the government for that.
So the wounds never truly scar over. You keep them fresh, picking at the scab to make sure the pain, and therefore the lesson, is still there. It's a painful paradox. The very act you think is protecting you is the one keeping you trapped in the past. Number 5. Need.
I learned to forgive people. Mostly, if it's situational, then yeah, I forgive the person. Yeah, I'm living on my own now, so yippee. Yeah. Still dealing with that stuff. You know? Like, for example, I for how for as long as you remember, I've already forgiven one of my exes because the way the breakup happened was situational. The act was unforgivable, yes, but it was mostly situational. I think, and second ex, I just couldn't forgive her because not only she had, okay, to be YouTube safe, she had, forcefully trained me. And yeah. Third X, it was situational. Um, I didn't like the fact she both roommates were financially abusing me and well abusing the privilege of getting to drive my car. Because I was the one who's paying for the oil changes and general car maintenance. Eventually I had to just revoke access to my car. They kicked me out of the apartment. And yeah. And I'm not going into detail what happened after that, but I'm here now. So it matters.
For control. If you feel an overwhelming urge to know your partner's schedule down to the minute, read their texts over their shoulder, or plan group outings with the precision of a military operation, you might not be a natural-born leader, you might just be wrestling with trust issues. This desperate need for control isn't about being a domineering person. It's a strategy to manage overwhelming internal anxiety. The world feels chaotic and unpredictable, and people even more so. Your logic follows a simple, if flawed, path. If you can control the situation, you can prevent the betrayal. If you know all the variables, you can't be blindsided.
That's the thing I learned. You cannot control people. Trust me, Blitzy, nothing is wrong with you. We are literally and physiologically and biologically built different. Let's just say cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and adrenaline is quite broken and the tank is leaking. One tank is leaking more than the other, but yeah. There's nothing wrong with you, even though society will try to guilt trip you to think that, but I don't see anything wrong with you.
Become the director of your own life, and you want to micromanage every actor, every...
Hey, we're walking down the same path. We're just at different points of time, at different points of time, or at different milestones. I understand what you're going through. I really do.
Every scene and every line of dialogue. You try to build a predictable world to make yourself feel safe from the unpredictable sting of disappointment. It's an attempt to create certainty where none exists. Whether it's dictating plans, monitoring a loved one's behavior, or refusing to delegate tasks, the underlying goal is the same: to minimize risk. But this quest for absolute control is an illusion, and it often backfires, pushing away the very people you're trying to hold on to. Number 6, difficulty relying on others. Is your personal motto, if you want something done right, do it yourself? Do you break out in a cold sweat at the thought of a group project? This isn't just a sign of a strong work ethic. It's a hallmark of someone who has learned that relying on others is a recipe for disappointment. The very idea of leaning on someone for emotional support or practical help feels foreign and dangerous. You've built a life on the foundation of self-reliance, becoming a one-person army. You are your own mechanic, your own therapist, your own moving company, and your own biggest cheerleader. This hyper-independence stems from a core belief that people are inherently
Yeah, I had kind of had that motto. However, I've learned to just use that as a last resort. It's not good. That model is not gonna always work. Hell, it barely works. It's only until you have pretty much you feel like you have no other options left. Trust me, there are almost infinite options. And the only limit is your imagination.
unreliable. Experience has likely taught you that when you count on someone, they either drop the ball or disappear entirely. So, you've decided to take everyone else out of the equation. It feels safer that way. There's no risk of being let down if you're the only one in the game. But this solitary strength comes at a cost. It isolates you, denying you the comfort, collaboration, and connection that comes from shared vulnerability and mutual support. You've become so good at holding your own weight that you've forgotten how to let someone else help you carry the load. Number 7, testing people's loyalty. Have you ever deliberately waited to text someone back just to see how long it takes them?
Nope, never. Because I've understood. Hell, I've been searching since God knows how long. People can be busy. So one text, wait until say I send a text in the morning. I wait until the evening. I send another text and then wait until the next morning. That goes on for 3 days before I say I just give up. Hell, actually it goes on for a week before I give up. It's okay. I'm trauma dumping as well. So it's kind of on the topic, so you're good. Plus, we're watching a video about trust issues. So yeah. Okay.
To reach out again? Or perhaps you've acted distant and moody, not because you were upset, but to gauge whether your partner would press you to find out what's wrong.
Here's the thing. I don't like playing those games. My own parents play those games on me. Hell, my parents were the biggest bullies slash wardens slash torturers. But yeah. Hey, I am no therapist, but I support my chat however I can. Chat supports me, I support chat. Kind of the Fast and Furious family dynamic. Ride or die. Well, I'm fiercely loyal to the friends I made in high school. Hell, I'm still in contact with almost with a few of them.
This isn't just passive-aggressive behavior, it's a loyalty test. It's a subconscious and sometimes conscious strategy to seek reassurance by creating small, controlled crises. You construct these little social experiments to test a single hypothesis. Will you stay or will you leave? If the person passes your test by pursuing you or showing concern, you get a temporary feeling of security. But if they fail, perhaps by giving you the space you seem to be asking for, it confirms your deepest, darkest fear, that you aren't worth fighting for. It's a self-defeating cycle. You are essentially pushing people away with one hand while desperately hoping they'll grab it with the other. This constant testing puts an immense strain on relationships, turning them into a series of pass-fail exams that the other person doesn't even know they're taking. Number 8. Jealousy and possessiveness. In the mind of someone...
Here's the thing with this one. I've learned from an early age that jealousy, it's just bad. It'll lead to bad outcomes. It's just bad overall. I think it was only one time I was jealous as a child, and I felt so guilty over it. I refused to be jealous or show an ounce of jealousy. Basically, I just remind myself, hey, they have their milestones, I have mine. Let's and let bygones be bygones.
Someone with trust issues, a partner's friendly chat with a coworker isn't just a chat. It's a potential threat, a preliminary interview.
Okay, that's not just trust issues. That's just uh, that's toxic possessiveness.
For your replacement. This intense jealousy and possessiveness isn't...
I realized something. My stepdad, he has that kind of possessiveness, not just towards birther, or why I should say, I'm not gonna claim that person as mine at all. Not just towards his wife, but also towards his immediate, not not towards his own children, a little bit towards his own children. But he knows not to mess with his own children because he raised them almost exactly almost exactly like him. Oddly enough, yeah, you need to go to bed. See you next time. Probably see you tomorrow. No, I'm not gonna be streaming tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. I don't stream on Wednesdays. But yeah, see you on Thursday. Give me variety stream, like all day stream. Matinee.
Born from a lack of love in fact. It often stems from the complete opposite. It's born from a terrifying, all-consuming fear of losing the love you have. Your partner becomes the epicenter of your emotional stability, and the thought of them being taken away triggers a primal panic. Possessiveness becomes your faulty security system. You feel the need to monitor their social media, question their friendships, and stake a claim on their time and attention. Every person who enters their orbit is viewed as a competitor. This behavior isn't about arrogance or control in the tyrannical sense. It's a desperate attempt to cling to something you feel could be snatched away at any moment. You're trying to build a fortress around your relationship to keep it safe, but the high walls and constant surveillance can make it feel more like a prison for both of you. Number 9, constant doubt in relationships. You could be in a relationship with the most honest, transparent, and devoted person on earth, and a part of your brain would still be whispering, "It's an act. It's too good to be true." When is the mask going to slip? This is the persistent gnawing doubt that plagues those with trust issues. It's a state of permanent skepticism. No amount of reassurance is ever truly enough, because the problem isn't the other person. It's the lens through which you see them. Your core belief is that people are fundamentally untrustworthy, and your brain will work tirelessly to find evidence to support that belief, even if it has to invent it. A canceled date isn't just a change of plans. It's a sign they're losing interest. A quiet mood isn't just fatigue. It's them secretly resenting you. You are forever the detective in your own love story, searching for clues of an inevitable betrayal. This constant doubt prevents you from ever truly relaxing and enjoying the connection. as you're always braced for the moment when your suspicions are finally, painfully proven right. Number 10. Avoiding deep relationships. If the thought of a deep, committed, emotionally intimate relationship makes you want to run for the hills, this might be the ultimate sign of trust issues. This is the final, most extreme defense mechanism. If you don't let anyone in, no one can ever hurt you. You become a master of the surface level connection. You might have many friends, but no one really knows you. You might date, but you always keep one foot out the door, ready to bolt the second things get too serious. This is a preemptive strike against heartbreak. You've concluded that the risk of emotional intimacy far outweighs the reward. Loneliness, in your calculation, is a known, manageable pain, while the pain of betrayal is catastrophic and unpredictable. So, you choose to live in a guarded, emotionally sterile environment. The problem with this self-preservation strategy is that the same walls that keep out the pain also keep out the joy, the connection, and the profound fulfillment that can only come from true, vulnerable intimacy. You successfully avoid the lows, but you sacrifice the highs in the process. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.
Hello, guys and gals. Me, 𝙂𝙚. I haven't really seen many people talk about this, so I'm going to talk about it because I like talking about internet safety, internet censorship, all that kind of stuff. Now, what if I told you an entire country just got entirely removed off of the internet, okay? Wild stuff to hear. Now, what was that country, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah, apparently Afghanistan's cell phone, internet services, and everything was basically cut down. So how the heck did we find out about this, ladies and gentlemen? Well, about a day or two ago, an internet, watchdog group known as NetBlocks was just looking at the connectivity, and everything was la-di-da-di-da when it came to Afghanistan until at one point, all of a sudden, the connectivity cratered all the way down, literally within an hour, to 0%. And as we're talking, it is still at 0 to 1%. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, all of a sudden an entire country gets removed from the internet. Basically, their people not only get censored, they get completely disconnected. And I believe Afghanistan is like 40 million something people. So just imagine, okay? You wake up one day, you're an Afghanistani guy or gal, and you're like, man, I want to browse the internet today. Everything is gone. Oh, you want to reach your family? Everything is gone. Everything is removed.
Oof.
You know, the basic pleasures somebody has in life getting taken away is absolutely going to piss somebody off. Now, you might be like, well, how does the Taliban end up doing it? 𝙂𝙚, how do they remove people from the internet? Well, they decided they weren't going to use any special, technical measures for this. They were just going to start cutting the fiber optic cables in regions. And you might be like, well, why would they do that out of nowhere? Well, it wasn't actually happening out of nowhere. They were actually doing this for weeks. And apparently it was taken to prevent vice, and alternative options will be put in place across the country to meet connectivity needs. Now, that could really mean anything. I mean, at this point, they could probably be using fucking carrier pigeons, because even that is better than what they have now, which is nothing. So for anybody that doesn't understand, vice basically means anything that is fun in this manner. So let's say you're having fun. Let's say you're just relaxing. Let's say you're goofing off with your pals. That could be vice. Some people could look at it as, hey, maybe they're wanting to ban internet pornography or something of that nature, which I'm sure the Taliban could have done if they really wanted to, without completely throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It really, in my opinion, and again, I think most people can agree here, It's a way for them to censor their people and prevent an uprising, okay? You know, when people start talking, the people in power start getting a little freaked out. Now, obviously, look, when you destroy cables, right, if you look at how we connect to each other with the internet, we have things like, you know, submarine cables, which is how we transfer a lot of data from each other. So, for instance, in the United States, these cables, which are owned and operated and maintained by separate entities, connect the internet all the way from the eastern seaboard to, say, Europe and the United Kingdom. And of course, this is what it looks like down over here. These cables literally are carrying our memes, videos, everything across the world for everyone to consume. Now, the thing about it is we have multiple different options. So you might be like, well, couldn't we bypass the Taliban if we use things like Starlink? And you're absolutely right. Things like satellite internet do bypass whatever the Taliban government wants to impose. But remember, satellite internet ain't cheap. And I'm sure for the average Afghanistani, purchasing any satellite connectivity material is probably going to be regulated by the Taliban. So if they catch that shit around your house, you could be looking at a pretty nice beheading your way. Or the other thing is they easily just can't afford it. If I'm in Canada and I go to Starlink and I order Starlink right now, shipping in 1 to 2 weeks to my house can cost me somewhere around $500 Canadian. And that's just what I'm paying right now. Then the actual service costs like fucking $140 plus the service tax, I guess, which is just for the first. What a goddamn I hate these stupid fucking mini taxes, man. They're just so unnecessary. But anyways, not the point of it, okay? $140 a month. You know, I'm paying less for fiber optic connection that is of higher quality than what Starlink is providing. But I don't live anywhere remote. It is something that I don't need. If you live in a place that's remote, or a place where the government can, I guess, control every single ISP, that might be a thing. Now, I believe Starlink does service the entire world. I'm sure they would be able to service Afghanistan. I'm just also sure that most Afghanistanis are not going to be getting access to it. So for the people in Afghanistan who are running their YouTube channels like Beyond the Hindu Kush, yeah, this guy was just uploading videos about Afghanistan, all right? You know, he had a community, a small but vibrant community of like 170 people. And all of a sudden, 3 days ago, we're not seeing any updates. So even the people that are providing a positive glimpse of Afghanistan beyond the oppression that we see, yeah, all of a sudden they're just gone, man. They are gone into the ether. It really is like a fucking digital Thanos snap out of existence. It is crazy shit to see. And again, I know for some people who are like, well, I live in a place where this can happen. The reality is you've just seen another country become North Korea. So for instance, if you look at what's been affecting them, their airlines have been affected because obviously internet connectivity has been disrupted. Things like health, for instance, are currently affected. So out of nowhere, they not only threw the baby out with the fucking bathwater, but they really didn't think about the actual major health, you know, the actual logistic related implications regarding, okay? Because I don't think the fucking Taliban necessarily has a whole bunch of expertise behind it. Remember, these are people far into the past, okay? And I thought things were going to change ever since, like, you know, they became more friendly with the US government. But, you know, in the last 6 months to about a year, they've kind of just went off and back into their own way. And all of a sudden, Afghanistan is now a country that is completely fucking disconnected from us. You know, people were complaining about Saudi Arabia apparently buying like EA, but even Saudi Arabia, for as religious as they are, would never, from my understanding, at least disconnect people from the internet, okay? This is an extreme measure to take away from the vices that people are engaging in. And how much of those vices were seriously crazy? I think a lot of it, like I said, is meant to prevent public dissent. This is what censorship is ultimately. It's not there to protect the health of a culture. It's there to fucking censor people so that they don't uprise against you. Because if people realize there's a better way to live, not under oppression, they're going to at least fight back, okay? Or at least try to. And the internet is a fucking amazing tool for that shit. Now, obviously, you might be like, well, what other option do they have if it's not Starlink? Well, obviously, there are ways that, at least if you're in Afghanistan, if you have access to, you know, the ability to create a decentralized mesh network, you could potentially be able to have your own network that is outside the control of the Taliban. And of course, this is not something that I would believe is practical, but again, for any of you guys out there that are like, I want to set a mesh network in my homestead or something, right? Like just for my local community, you can buy devices like this, for instance, these little car trackers and so on and so forth. You can flash and configure them using the guides that are available. And of course, you can connect to these devices using iOS applications, Android applications, or just web clients. So you can theoretically just build your own internet, which is maybe what some people will have to do. Maybe they might have to go to like old school radios just so they can at least communicate over distances with their loved ones. Because you really do take the internet for granted sometimes until you realize that very quickly it can be yoinked away. And this is not a situation where you can just spin up a fucking VPN and they literally cut the fucking infrastructure, okay? There is literally no way to fix that. At any level, the hardware itself is gone. Okay? There ain't no software that exists to fix broken hardware, so to speak. Now, one of the things that really kind of hits me about this too is like, again, the North Korea example I brought up was pretty apt. North Korea is also a country where like accessing the internet is not necessarily allowed. For instance, if you are somebody that wants to see what North Korean websites look like, there are a few websites like these that exist, and I have accessed these on my channel. For instance, 𝙂𝙚 is a place where you can go to purchase tickets, that this flight offers. Now, obviously, the prices over here are well outside of the scope for the average North Korean, from my understanding, but yeah, you can access certain websites in North Korea. But there is a deeper layer. There is a layer known as 𝙂𝙗𝙗, which I have browsed a little bit on my channel. If you ever saw my Red Star OS videos, this is a long, long time ago. But obviously, countries like North Korea, for instance, are not totally disconnected. Even their own people, from my understanding, can access their own version of an internet, the intranet for them, where they have their own cell towers, their own, smartphones, their own devices, operating systems, network protocols, and using these, they can at least actually have access to an internet. Even if it's a highly censored internet, they can at least still communicate with their loved ones. What's happening in Afghanistan is fucking insane, all right? People have completely been disconnected from each other overnight, okay? Literally overnight. The fucking Taliban comes in and starts cutting down the internet, okay? Good old Chris Chan, Bob Chandler style, cutting that shit down. Now, obviously, the other thing about this too is I've kind of realized that, on the topic of internet censorship, even beyond all of this too, what the Taliban could have probably done, and I'm pretty sure they might have inquired it, was to actually reach out to the Chinese government about setting up a firewall. Now, for anybody that doesn't know, literally this month, there was a 500 gigabyte leak of the Chinese, internet firewall, like source code, internal documentations, everything. And it came out that apparently the countries that were buying services from a platform known as 𝙂𝙤, right here, 𝙂𝙤 Networks, they were selling this thing called Tianzhu Secure Gateway, which is billed as a full-featured one-stop solution to network perimeter security. It performs deep packet inspection on network traffics, classifies their content. Basically, the core of this is that they are setting systems that track every little packet on the internet, because the way the internet works is very similar to this. For instance, if I go over here and I ping Newgrounds, for instance, you can see that I'm sending data. So basically what's happening is, the systems that the Chinese government is selling through 𝙂𝙤, for instance, to the rest of the world, they're looking at every single one of these packets and seeing just where things are sending to, what's being sent, and so on and so forth. Now, obviously, for China, you can still bypass the Great Firewall using VPN services. You can't necessarily buy VPNs or download them in China, but you can always fly into the country, and provided you have VPN apps on your phone or laptop, you can bypass their firewall. That's something that still, is a circumvention. But going back to the leaks, for instance, right? Some of the countries that were buying from them or allegedly in talks were Pakistan, Myanmar, Ethiopia, and Kazakhstan. So countries that are beautiful in their own right, but ultimately led by people that prefer censoring their own so that there isn't any form of fucking uprising. Internet censorship is so far intensive now that, seeing the amount of technologies that are now being sold is mind-boggling. Like, it seems like the internet's about to become a place where instead of all human beings freely communicating with each other, we are now going into our own little segregated sections. It's actually reflecting a lot of what reality is, okay? Like, in the real world, everyone is isolated, obviously, to their own countries, right? And few people in those countries get to fly out and experience the world. It really is a privilege for you to travel to other countries, get visa access. But
Yeah.
for, again, internet services, we used to live in a world where communicating with an Afghanistani person, was really easy. You just pull up their screen name on whatever social media service and you talk to them. But now that person has went offline for an indefinite amount of time. And I think it's not far off from the world where, like, in the future, even living in North America, there's going to be a mass restriction on the amount of services that we can access without proving to the government who we fucking are. That freedom and that anonymity is all but a fleeting thing. Now, obviously, the Taliban is a pretty extreme example. Not every government is like the Taliban, clearly. But yeah, what the Taliban did is not far off from other oppressive regimes around the world. There ain't nothing stopping any other country from just starting chopping the infrastructure and cables and creating a new system to replace it, whatever that may be down the road. But yeah, we literally have seen another country become North Korea or at least China overnight. And it's fucking scary to see. But yeah, nobody was really talking about it. I wanted to kind of yap about it because I thought it was mind-boggling to see. And it's funny that the VPN companies are bringing this up. Like, brother, you can't even use the VPNs. They straight up say, our tools help to bypass censorship. But even just here, everything's been cut off. There ain't nothing you can do when things are cut off. So I really do hope the best for the people in Afghanistan. I'm sure that they absolutely can't see what I'm saying right now. They can't hear my words. They can't see my face because of how the internet has been chopped off. But yeah, hopefully things do get better for them. And I am genuinely fearful. The internet allows us a window into seeing the lives of people. They can share their stories. Now they have been completely muted. And that, to me, is some really scary shit. You know what I mean? That is some, and it's also similar to like websites that you may not even like. Websites, when they're the target of a lot of these of a lot of these governments and a lot of these technical groups or these these ASNs, these ISPs, you can censor anybody you want off the internet. But this is so extreme. This is like gone from existence. They've been Thanos snapped out of existence. Crazy shit to see. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. I am out.
That is crazy. Holy shit.
Hey everybody,
There you go.
how's it going? Hope you have a lovely day. Today I'm going to be going over the end of Windows 10 and what this means for all of you. A lot of you have asked me to cover the fact that Windows 10 is no longer going to be receiving updates, and this is something that's been difficult for me to come up with an angle of coverage on. How am I going to go over this? What are my asks going to be? And one of the things that I love about this channel and hate about this channel is that companies never stop providing me with content. I would like nothing more than for this YouTube channel to be nothing but a 24/7 stream of koi fish, and every now and then a shot of Mr. Clinton and BlackBerry. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So when we're talking about Windows 10, this is an operating system that was Microsoft's
Let's make that
recovery,
happen, chat.
the way I would say it, from Windows 8. So Microsoft usually has this tick-tock cycle where they'll release something that's garbage and something that's good. So you have ME, tick, XP, talk. Vista, tick, 7, talk. 8, tick, 10, talk. And Windows 11 is the tick in more ways than one. I actually didn't intend for that pun. That just kind of came out that way. Windows 11 requires that you buy new hardware. Windows 11 is annoyingly buggy. Windows 11 has a lot of nonsensical spyware built into the operating system. My assistant has a computer that has Windows 11 on it. I turn on the start menu, and this is not a free operating system that's using the professional version it was paid for, and it just starts advertising me shit and showing me things that I never asked for. It's a garbage operating system in many ways, and a lot of people have not updated to it. They've stayed on Windows 10 because as bad as Windows 10 may be, it is better than Windows 11. The problem is that Windows 10 is now 10 years old, and because it's 10 years old, it's not going to be getting updates anymore. And this is something that was difficult for me to figure out an angle of coverage on for all of you. Where am I supposed to go over with this? Am I supposed to say that 10 years is not enough updates for something that you paid $75 for? Am I supposed to go over this and say Microsoft has made enough money, they should be giving you updates for until now, until the end of time? Am I supposed to go over how this is irresponsible from a security perspective because hundreds of millions of users are using this operating system that is not going to get security updates, meaning that hundreds of millions of people are now opening themselves up to being hacked? I couldn't find the angle that resonated with me to the point where I felt excited to turn on my camera. Luckily, Microsoft has come along and given me inspiration to do this video and provided me with what I need to demonstrate, as always, how American companies love fucking over the American consumer. And there's no better example than I can think of with what Microsoft has done recently. Microsoft gives EU users free access to its extra year of Windows 10 security updates. EU users won't need to use Microsoft's cloud to receive security updates. Microsoft has confirmed that it will offer free access to Windows 10 Extended Support Updates program to users within the European Economic Area. This will give remaining Windows 10 users in the area another year to think about upgrading to Windows 11 or move to another operating system. Following complaints from Euro consumers and so on and so forth, the article goes on. The point of the matter is this. I want you to imagine that you're going out with a guy. He seems like, your parents say he's a little bit of a deadbeat, but you see potential in the guy. You help him pay his rent, you help tutor him so that he can pass college, and then you learn 6 months into the relationship that the entire time he was cheating on you with the barista at Starbucks that hasn't done jack shit for him. Imagine you're going out with a girl, and 6, 8 months in, she says, I don't do that until after marriage. And then you realize that half of your graduating class smashed on the first date, but you had to wait. Clippy, no simpy. I joke when I say this. I usually pin one of those sex bot comments that YouTube has not removed 4 years into the platform, even though they all use the same damn username and avatar. What do I post every single time? Clippy, no simpy.
Clippy, no
It's a
simpy.
joke. It's supposed to be a joke. My way of pushing back against the fact that this platform, this company that makes over $70 billion a year, that claims to care about keeping its platform safe, can get rid of sex bots that use the exact same avatar on every single post. But it's not a joke. It's a call to hold yourself to a standard, and a consistent standard. People don't like paying more to get worse. If you're a United States taxpayer, you give 1/3 of your income or more every single week to your government. And then you have to listen to your government complain and talk about how the EU treats American companies so unfairly. The European Union is very, very nasty. They sue our companies. And one of the things that I notice from this entire scenario is that what the EU does to American companies is not 10% as bad as what American companies do to American consumers. You're an American taxpayer. You give 1/3 of your paycheck every single week to your government. And Microsoft is here saying we are going to treat people in a faraway country that have never paid taxes in the United States better than we treat our own citizens. Right now, you live in a country where you can be removed of your 7th Amendment rights when you open a supplement can. You can't return it because you broke the plastic on the outside, but you can't open it because if you open it, you are agreeing to forced arbitration. You're agreeing to take away your 7th Amendment rights to a trial by jury if that company has wronged you. We don't have rights. Our government doesn't defend ours. And it's one thing if our government is not going to defend our rights. But I don't like when American companies go out of their way to start treating people in other countries better than they treat us. And we're not
Because
talking
they're
about
forced
regional
to.
pricing here. I'm not talking about a company that provides their documentaries slightly cheaper to customers in Southeast Asia than to people in America. I'm talking about people in America that paid for their computer that did not.
Microsoft is forced to follow the EU's rules because they make a big. The EU is a good chunk of income for Microsoft. If Microsoft loses the EU, loses the right to do business in the EU, they lose a hella chunk of money. And their stock tanks a fuck ton. And then they go bankrupt.
Not pirate Windows that paid for everything legitimately getting hacked because they don't get security updates, while people in the EU have a completely secure computing experience. That's ridiculous. Free for them. Paid for you if you're a company. And in the United States, you have to buy a new computer because Windows 11 won't work with your old hardware, even though your old hardware can encode and play back 4K video in real time and do everything you need it to. In the EU, they can keep using their 10-year-old computer. It just works just fine. You? Buy another one. This is the thing that should bother you. It shouldn't even be just about the poor treatment that you receive. It should be about the poor treatment that you receive, while the same people that treat you like shit treat everybody else that doesn't done jack shit for them like gold. How many taxes have EU citizens paid in the United States? Why is my government going to bat for the companies that are fucking me rather than to me as an American citizen? I don't have to look at this and think about how long a company should have to give updates for. I don't have to go through this little prism and have a philosophical conversation on how high your market cap has to be before I can ask you to provide updates to people. How many people have to have this operating system on their computer? Is it 80 million, 40 million, 1 million? I don't have to go through all of that. You've made it very easy for me to create a very simple ask based on simple principles. Treat me, at the very least, as well as you treat citizens of other countries that are not taxpayers in your home country. That shouldn't be that much to ask. And honestly, I'm hoping that things like this wake American consumers up to the fact that companies in their own country do not treat consumers in other countries as poorly as they treat consumers in the United States. The only reason that they treat consumers bad in the United States is that we do not advocate for ourselves and we tolerate it. We put up with the shit, and when they fuck us over, we even defend it. Read comment sections when people go over these issues. There's always somebody there saying how we're the idiots because you chose to buy wrong, or you shouldn't be complaining about this, that, or the other. In other countries, they don't do that shit. They stick together. I ain't putting up with this shit. Fuck you. And if you want to treat me that way, fine. Go find some other country to sell your bullshit in. I think that American consumers have to decide. Come together and make a decision. Clippy, no, simpy. Do not help the man that you're dating with his homework and paying his rent if he's banging the barista. And if somebody had sex with half your graduating class on the first date, I don't know, maybe waiting a year just for you. There might be something else going on there that you want to look into. Advocate for yourself in every area of your life. But most importantly, and most especially, with the primary operating system that's installed on your computer. Because if you don't have security updates, that's very bad. If you think this is bullshit, I would highly suggest that you check out fulu.org/take-action. Tell Microsoft extend support for Windows 10. Add your name to the petition. Dear Satya Nadella, it was encouraging to see Microsoft do the right thing by extending free security updates with no strings attached to consumers in the European Economic Area. However, the step does not go nearly far enough to ensure that the estimated 400 million computers that do not meet Windows 11 hardware requirements will not become cybersecurity vulnerabilities, putting people's privacy and data at risk. There should be no reason that European consumers are protected while those around the world, particularly those in Microsoft's home country, remain insecure. Do the right thing and extend free, unconditional security updates for consumers around the globe. Clippy, no simpy. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.
We also have I learned something not to put with any company's bullshit. I learned it real fast. This.
Hello, everyone. It's been a while. I know that. Hello, everyone. It's been a while. I know that you guys are still waiting, but don't worry. Got some updates for you. So, first off, of course, we have our Discord. Now,
I'm gonna subscribe to them. Oh, I see what the chant is about. So it's Ruby themed VR roleplay. Okay. Here we go.
Let's get right into it. Number 7, Velcro parenting. Picture this. You're trying to go to a middle school dance, but your mom is clinging to you like a human backpack. She's not just dropping you off at the curb. Oh no, she's marching into the gym, signing up for the bake sale, and introducing herself to your crush's parents. Congratulations, you've just unlocked Velcro parenting, where your parent sticks to you so tightly that freedom is basically a myth. Psychologically, this isn't just embarrassing, it shapes how you handle intimacy later on. Kids raised with hyper-involved parents often grow up with what's called an anxious attachment style. Translation: when you start dating, you might turn into the emotional version of a lost puppy. Every text that isn't answered within 5 minutes feels like a breakup note. You find yourself overanalyzing punctuation marks. They put a period at the end of their sentence. Oh my god, they hate me. The irony is your parent was trying to protect you from pain, but what you got instead was a PhD in clinginess. As adults, people from Velcro homes sometimes sabotage relationships not because they want to, but because they can't tell the difference between healthy space and abandonment. Basically, your brain got wired to think, if they're not glued to me, they're gone. So yeah, Velcro parents may raise kids who love hard, love fast, and panic when you don't love back at the exact same intensity. Which is kind of sweet, until you realize you can't even go to the grocery store without sending a selfie to prove you're still alive. Number 6, ghost dad syndrome. You ever notice how people who had absent dads either grow up desperately searching for validation, or they become emotionally cooler than a penguin in sunglasses? That's ghost dad syndrome. We're not talking about literal ghosts, although that would at least explain things.
Oh,
This is
no.
about when a parent, usually dad, but not always, is
Sometimes.
physically or emotionally missing in action during your formative years. The psychological result? You might grow up with what's called avoidant attachment. That's the fancy term for, I don't need anyone, thanks. I'll just bottle up my feelings and feed them to my liver. These are the people who say things like, I'm not really into labels, or feelings are overrated, while secretly building a spreadsheet of all the times you've smiled at. The kicker is your brain wires itself early on to avoid disappointment. If love didn't show up when you were a kid, you learn to stop expecting it. It's a survival hack, but unfortunately it turns dating into an emotional Hunger Games. You want closeness, but you also think closeness equals danger. So you'll flirt, pull back, ghost, and repeat until everyone involved needs therapy. In other words, ghost dad syndrome doesn't mean you'll never love. It just means your love life might resemble a Scooby-Doo chase scene where you keep running in and out of doors until you finally trip over your own trust issues. Number 5, parentified prodigy. You know those kids who were 9 years old but basically running the household, cooking dinner, doing taxes, low-key being the emotional support human for their parents? That's the parentified child. Instead of being nurtured, you were the mini therapist, the household manager, the kid who knew more about your mom's dating life than your own multiplication tables. Psychologically, this wires you to believe love equals responsibility. Fast forward into adulthood, and now you're the person who becomes a full-time caretaker in relationships, bandaging emotional wounds, organizing everything, scheduling dentist appointments that aren't even yours. People around you start confusing you for the customer service desk of love. This is often
Hey,
linked to
yo.
something called compulsive caregiving. In simple terms, you feel safe only when you're needed. When a
Oh God. Oh God. I don't do the compulsive caregiving part, but yeah. I is conditional enough to expect. Love was my parents were very bullshit, very toxic, and love was rewarded if I was useful or if I made them look good. Yeah.
partner isn't falling apart or relying on you, your inner kid panics. Wait, if I'm not fixing them, why would they keep me around? So you attract projects instead of partners. The irony is that while you're out here managing everyone else's chaos, your own emotional needs end up locked in a basement somewhere, banging on the pipes for attention. You learned early on that your feelings were less important than keeping the family boat afloat. So, as an adult, being vulnerable feels almost selfish, which means you might be loved by many, but rarely feel loved for yourself. Number 4. The fun house effect. Some childhoods are like living in a carnival fun house, lots of laughter, lots of jokes, and absolutely zero acknowledgement of the heavy stuff. Your parents never talked about sadness or anger, they just made everything into a punchline. You'd bring up a problem and get a joke instead of a hug. This creates a love style where humor becomes your armor. You're the partner who cracks a joke during arguments, who diffuses tension with memes, who hides "I'm not okay" behind "lol, I'm fine."
Here's the thing that I noticed I did. Even if me and my friends do this to each other, basically, we trauma dump through memes. The irony in that. Anywho, I'm thinking that we may just be completed with this piece. I'm looking for any potential shadow. Do some shadow work for the eyes, or nah. All right. So yeah, we're basically done with this piece, and all right, there we go. Saved. All right. Anywho, chat. Again, my apologies for that outburst in the middle of the stream, but yeah, being sick, being stressed out of both my mind and my lungs, and I just hope y'all will stay after the incident. I am. My apologies. I kind of held that back for the longest time. My apologies, chat. Anywho, I want to say thank you for joining today's stream. I hope y'all have a good rest of the day, evening, night time zone. And I'm going to take the rest of the night to relax and rest my voice. That being said, thank you for joining today's stream. Thank you for joining, and thank you for watching today's YouTube VOD. Oh yeah. Anywho, make sure to eat, make sure to hydrate, and make sure to use the restroom at Blitzies. Also make sure to give yourself time to relax. Even if relaxing seems difficult, or maybe kind of is, just take a few deep breaths. Tell yourself you're fine. You're fine in this moment. You're safe in this moment. Be present. Be yourself. And as I think I can see there, I try to entertain chat as much as I can. I gotta get going down Blitzies. I gotta relax my voice now. Bye today.
lost to the war, shot me dead. I was lost and I said to the voices in my head, I gotta get up again. I gotta get up to another day. I'm not giving up again. I gotta get up. I gotta get up. I gotta get up again. I gotta get up to another day. I'm not giving up again. I gotta get up. I gotta get up. I gotta get up Look into my eyes. My heart beats like a drum. You listen to my lies. Love is far to come. Your love is far. Running at the speed of light, kissing at her city